What's going on, everyone? Jacob here from FCP Euro, and on this episode of the 850 project, it's all about power. And the first piece of that puzzle is the exhaust. I've got a special guest with me today, Josh from 88 Fab, and I think I remember seeing you commenting on the season 1.
Yes.
I saw that 88 Fab commented on the videos. I was like, wow, so you've been watching the project.
Been watching the videos and following the progress of the car, and
it's really awesome that we got to fly you up here, and we got 4 days to build a full exhaust system, huh?
Yes, sir. Yep, we're going to do a high-rise header, and then from there we'll do a 2.5-inch catback. Hopefully make some more power.
Yeah, and sound a lot better.
Yes.
So what do we got to do? Rip the old exhaust off?
Yep. We'll start by taking off the old exhaust and start from the header and work our way back.
All right. Can't wait to hear it. To say I was excited to rip the ugly old exhaust out of the 850 was an understatement. Next up, Josh modified the rearward engine mount to allow more clearance for our primary tubes.
So you can see how much tighter it fits now compared to, it was way out here. So that should help with some runner clearance.
I would have looked at that and been like, well, that's in the way. Nothing you can do about that. After removing excess material, boxing it in for strength, and giving it a quick coat of paint, it went back in the car with much more room to spare. You can see there's a lot more clearance now, particularly over here. The next thing we're looking at is if we can add any more clearance above here, right where the heat shield is. After trimming up the lower heat shield, we gained all the clearance we could to start building our exhaust header. Starting with a laser-cut exhaust flange, Josh began welding a small section of the primary tubes to the header flange. With the plan to build high-rise primary tubes, it would be impossible to install this header into the car as one piece. By cutting the header flange into separate pieces, Josh would be able to build and install the header one runner at a time. Because the ports on the Volvo cylinder head are oval, we need to make a transition piece from oval to round in order to properly weld the rest of the primary tubes to the flange.
All right, so we're getting ready to start the first 90 up on the cylinder heads. So I've got 180 bends. Like, do we want them all to be the same? Or, have them a little bit different?
They can be a little bit different.
Obviously, once they get underneath the car, the height going into the collector is going to be different.
Right.
I think maybe the two that go to the top of the collector, make those a little taller. Mm-hmm. And then that way, that'll help keep them close to being equal as they can. And then I think having 1 and 5 going to the bottom, and then either 2 or 4, one of those going to the bottom would be easier. All right, I'll go ahead and chop this one off and throw a tack on it and see where it sits.
All right. This is the exciting part, guys. Finally seeing where this is going. Sculpture, really, right?
Yeah.
Loud sculpture.
Loud sculpture.
Josh then tacked up some primary tubes to get an idea of how and where we wanted to go with the exhaust header.
Too tall?
No, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's pretty tall, but
That's very tall.
it's it's gonna be cool.
All right, we'll roll with it.
All right, let's do it. That is ridiculously tall.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and test fit cylinder 2 and 3 and see how she's looking. 2 down, 3 to go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
That looks
dude.
freaking bad.
No.
So this one's straight, that one turned in,
Turned in.
and that one turned in.
Yep. So these 3 will be shorter.
Slightly shorter.
Yeah. So instead of cutting it 1.5 inches, I'll probably cut it right on the bend, so they'll sit about 1.5 inches lower.
Okay.
Guys, I see progress.
Yes. So got all the high-rise runners done.
Yep.
And so now it's just down back to the collector and from there 2.5.
Yeah, you want me to take over from here?
Yeah, we'll definitely let you do some welds, you know, that way you can say that he welded on his own exhaust.
All right, well, let me do it on the exhaust, not the header.
Ah, that's frustrating. But you know what's more frustrating? Parts that don't last. That's why at FCP Euro, we sell only the highest quality OE, OEM, genuine, and aftermarket parts for your European car. Now, let's try this again.
After measuring, tacking, and test fitting, Josh began fully welding the primary tubes, back purging each pipe to ensure we have the strongest welds possible. You see Josh's weld art, lettering.
That's smart.
With the 5-to-1 collector mocked up in its position, we started laying the groundwork, or pipe work, for the rest of the exhaust system, starting with the flex pipe and resonator.
I'll hold the pipe in there, you know, hold it flush here and then move this where it's flush there, and that'll give us the angle.
38 points here.
I'll cut it 40.
40.
Yeah, I'll cut it at 40.
Yeah.
So usually I will take that 40-degree angle and then just put this in my saw at 40 degrees angle. Because my saw it'll go up to 45. But since I don't have that here, I have to kind of eyeball this and then freehand the line and then cut it on their little porter band. All right, see how that works.
After watching Josh weld all day, he truly made it look easy to lay perfect dimes on every pipe he welded.
Part of the reason why we're doing all this is to install a wideband O2 sensor. So if you don't know, a wideband O2 sensor measures your air-fuel ratio. Another thing too is we need this wideband O2 sensor to plug into our Mega Squirt, so our Mega Squirt can read the wideband O2 sensor so that we can properly tune the car. So for somebody at home who's welding in a bunk for their O2 sensor, what would be the ideal location typically?
Yeah, so within 12 inches after the collector, and then you want to keep these at 90. Anything below, and you run the risk of water collecting, moisture from the exhaust collecting,
So
and potentially, messing the sensor up.
looks like we got a good spot right here to
Yep.
weld it in, and we got that knocked out, right?
Yep.
Josh insisted that I weld at least something on my exhaust system, so of course we went with the most visible part, the tip. Let me tell you, it was not as easy as Josh made it look, even with him hand-holding me throughout the entire process.
Well, how's it going?
It's going.
You a master welder yet?
No. No, but Josh is a really good teacher.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like almost like muscle memory.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like
totally.
it's just like you just get into a rhythm. Josh was saying that some welders will listen to certain types of music, and they'll pick a certain type of music depending on the material that they're welding, because the beat of that music goes with how you need to move on that material based on the heat.
That makes sense. Go with the beat.
Yep, we can. Yeah, just every time that bass hits or.
How's Jacob doing?
Good. I mean, obviously you're not going to be a master welder in 20 minutes in your first beat. Keep going around in a circle.
Cool.
I had a better understanding of how much time he must have put in to perfect his craft. You can see my ugly welds from here.
J-Crowd. These look pretty good. Look at some beads now. Damn. I'm proud of little Jacob, dude. That's hot.
What?
Your welds, dude.
You serious?
These aren't bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it could be way worse, dude. They're not bad at all.
Working with Josh from 88 Fab these past few days, it became clear to me that he was not just a welder or fabricator. He was a sculptor, an artist. To be able to turn an idea, a vision, and piece it together into something real and something beautiful was honestly incredible.
So it's been a long, would you say an exhausting 5 days?
Yeah, definitely a long 5 days.
So you're leaving today, so
Yep.
we're done though, pretty much, right?
Yeah, we're done. Finished welding, and then time to throw it on the car, hear how it sounds, and
I'm like nervous and excited at the same time. I'm not nervous because I think it's gonna sound bad. I'm just like, I have no idea what to expect. But you can see, what is this, 12 inches long?
yeah, 16-ish
16?
versus 36 from flange to the beginning of the collector.
I could fit the stock header just right there. Oh my gosh. To be honest with you, Josh, I could stare at this all day, but
Yeah, we could.
let's just throw it in the cart and hear how it sounds.
Sure, sounds good to me.
With Josh's crazy high-rise long tube 5-to-1 race header complete, it was finally time to fully install it into the 850. From the runners, to the collector, to the spring clamps and V-bands, we finally pieced together Josh's one-off exhaust, eagerly anticipating what it will sound like.
I don't even want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
All right. Why is my heart pumping? All right, you ready? Rip the Band-Aid off. Yes or no?
Yes. It's actually quieter than it was before. It's quieter.
It sounds totally different.
I'm glad it's quieter than what I expected.
It's not like piercing your ears.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Holy. Wow.
Heck yeah.
What is this gonna sound like under load?
Yeah. Let's go find out.
Holy
God, that sounds amazing.
You freaking did it, dude. That was it. That's
that sounds so good.
That is like
Holy
a percentage
crap.
of the BTCC. That's it. Oh my god. It feels good.
How's third gear sound? I wanted to hear the lower RPMs. It's wild, dude. It's so deep down low.
Yeah. Oh my god. My face is killing me. It sounds unreal. It sounds better than my dreams.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable. Josh, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Like, you are the man.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we're going to be installing a Mega Squared ECU, running at the dyno, and you have to head out today, right?
Yeah, I gotta head back to North Carolina.
So I guess I'll FaceTime you at the dyno.
Please
yeah?
do.
Yeah, and then next time you're here, you'll have to rip it on the proving grounds at Lime Rock Park.
Yeah. Sounds like a blast.
Yeah. Very exciting day today. We finished up the exhaust, and now we're moving straight on to the ECU. So this was the ECU that we've been using in the car. Do you remember from season 1? This is the vast tuning ECU that Aaron built us, and it really is great. It's amazing what you can do with M4.4 or with the stock ECU. However, for what we plan on doing with this car, we're going to need something a little bit better. I am not qualified to be doing any of this. And so I brought my good friend Pat to help me out. We'll call him the Mega Squirt for this episode.
So this is a Mega Squirt 3 Pro plug-and-play module, well, mostly plug-and-play module that'll go right into the stock ECU location.
So the cool thing about the Mega Squirt ECU is that it basically just plugs right into the factory location. This is our intake air temp sensor that also needs to be wired here. We'll probably throw that guy right over here in our intake pipe. And then finally we'll wire in a wideband O2 sensor so that we can tune it. So pretty simple. See how it goes.
While Pat got to work on installing the intake air sensor, I began running the wires inside the car for our AFR gauge.
Got it. All right. I'm happy with that.
With the intake out of the way, Pat was able to clean up some of the wiring and relays that were no longer needed and began running the new wires that we needed for the Mega Squirt.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ignition, VVT, and then intake air temp.
Beautiful.
This is the connector for the wideband oxygen sensor.
With the new O2 sensor installed in our exhaust, we began routing the cables to the ECU in the engine bay and gauge in the car.
Cylinder 1, 2, 4, 5, 3, because that's the firing order. So even though it's a connector 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have to wire it for just the ignition. Yep. So we have cylinder 1 here. That's going to be blue. All right. So we're on the last 2 wires, the power and switch power and ground for the wideband oxygen sensor. So once I hook these 2 wires up, we will be able to start the car. Is this a cruel joke? Is there no 10 millimeter?
Okay. Plug and play part. This is the actual plug and play part. Whoa, we got power.
So I just need you to adjust the key on. fuel pump. Well, everything's wired up, plugged in. Pat's checking some things on the computer, but we're about to fire this thing up.
Doesn't have a configuration to support the firmware. If you want to start it.
Do you just pull tater tots out of your pocket?
Yeah. Starving, I didn't get to eat anything today.
Freaking starved, I didn't get to eat anything today.
All right, ready?
Go ahead.
It runs. First crank started right up. So it is plug and play.
The sauce! Yeah. That shit's spicy.
That sounds good, Pat.
Sounds really good.
About half throttle. It feels better than the other ECU already. And there's no VVT.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Oh, she's gonna be spicy.
Oh, dude. Because remember how much of a dog it was with VVT unplugged? It had like nothing.
Nothing.
Until like,
And now it's just like,
it just goes.
just goes.
Without VVT, what the heck?
Yeah.
Dude, oh my God. Oh my God, with VVT, it's gonna move. So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
It's running on Mega Squirt, Pat. Is that Jimmy? Hey! It's Jimmy. He's the owner of the shop.
Oh. Fucking let her go ahead. Go ahead.
Keep going. Where'd that go to?
That was to 7,200.
Pat and I got the car running pretty smoothly with some street tuning, but we can only test so much within the public speed limits. So the next stop was to head to the dyno to really open this thing up.
So today's dyno day, and everything's good. We checked the oil, we checked our tire pressures, everything, there's no leaks, everything's good. Pat and I were here pretty late the other night wiring in the VVT. So if you see here, we have an additional cam sensor and an additional wire going to the Mega Squirt. And we wired up the VVT, checked on the laptop, and our VVT cam sensor signal was just completely all over the place. And we were here till like, what, midnight, like trying to figure it out. Did we wire it wrong? Is there something, what's going on? It turned out that this engine has a very specific cam wheel for the cam sensor. This engine actually came out of a Denso car, not a Bosch car, which is probably why it has this funky sensor. So we have no settings, the Mega Squirt has no way of knowing how this works. So thankfully, Will, our good friend Will, had a car he was parting out and had the correct cam wheel that we've popped in here. Everything works, everything looks good, right? So let's head to the dyno and see what it does. First time, was shocked at how much power the original engine made. Should we just keep this engine? Second time, pretty disappointed at how much power the new engine made. This time, I'm hoping to redeem ourselves a little bit.
The wideband is reading full lean.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The O2 sensor, it keeps cutting in and out.
Oh, really? Should we check?
I'm gonna check underneath.
Okay. Is the sensor bad?
I don't know if it's bad.
I mean, it's just a LSU 4.9.
After checking the wiring for the O2 sensor, we removed it from the exhaust to realize the sensor had failed.
Is that the culprit, Pat?
That's the culprit, but it looks real rich.
Thankfully, Jimmy had our backs with a new sensor.
We think we have a faulty O2 sensor.
In your car?
Wideband, yeah. LSU 4.9 AM.
Oh, you need one for your car?
Yeah, I think.
have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me get it for you.
Thank you.
30-2004.
That's the sensor, yeah. You don't have a wrench for that, do you?
I'll get you a wrench.
Thank you.
Perfect. I'll be right over. All right.
Thank you.
You're not filming me, are you?
No.
Okay, that's it.
Pat's not here.
Where's Pat? He's in the bathroom. So Jimmy from the shop pulled through. We think we have a bad sensor. Of course, he's got stockpiles of these. So got this and a wrench, and hopefully that fixes it.
Yeah,
There we go.
You in business, Pat?
we're in business. So I added 2 degrees of timing,
Yeah.
and it liked it.
It
a
liked
lot.
it?
A lot.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's got knock control. I'm watching the.
Yeah, watch it.
I'm watching
You
the
can
knock.
back off.
I'm watching the knock in the AFR.
Yeah. All right. If it likes timing, that's cool.
I went from like 18 to 22 degrees.
Liked it? Oh yeah. Dude. All right, we've officially made more power.
Yeah.
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 Last time we were here, we made 154.9. Eventually, we got to the point of diminishing returns. However, we knew there was a bit more left in the car with some problem solving of the VVT control.
Safe. You know what I mean? I have closed loop fueling in. That's turned on. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to play with the VVT some more.
Yeah.
Like at a later time. Something with the control with this software is a little.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird. Everything is like within reason. It's got a good air fuel ratio. It's got a pretty good ignition timing table right now.
Yeah.
We'll have to mess around with the VVT a little bit more, but it definitely like 10 degrees of advance across the board. You know, which is a little odd. It picked up at the top end even with advance.
Yeah.
So we'll have to play around with that a little more, but we did make more power. We made 161.9 horsepower and 161.1 foot-pounds of torque. So that is
That is a pretty significant difference
absolutely
from where we were before.
Oh yeah.
I
And
think-
I think even drivability itself is it's a lot better.
Yeah.
We have a good solid base to go off of.
We're not done yet. Tune in for the next episode. We're still gonna make some more power with this thing, with ITBs. Very exciting. It's gonna be a lot of work, but it's gonna be worth it, even for the sound alone. Why do I have the intake manifold out of the car and the strange man standing next to me? That's because today's a very, very special day. I'm pretty sure I've been talking about individual throttle bodies for the past 3 years, and now we finally have the person that's actually gonna be able to make this happen. And who are you?
So my name is Alex Nelson, and I design intakes and exhausts for a living. We are going to be putting S85 V10 throttle bodies on this car. Obviously, half of V10 is 5 cylinders, and we're going to use a 3D scanner and very likely metal 3D printing to adapt them. And in theory, it should make more than 151 horsepower.
So does that mean that I could
Be my guest. Excellent work.
All right, so what's the actual game plan here?
We're going to 3D scan the actual engine bay. So that'll mean that we can position the throttle bodies in CAD, we can make trumpets, we can do all sorts of cool stuff, we can mount the throttle actuator and all that stuff, and that's what we're working on today.
All right, well, let's get right to it. What's the first thing we gotta do?
The first thing we have to do is put 1 million stickers all over the engine bay.
That's a lot of horsepower.
Well, it's, I never thought about it like that.
So we probably don't need the ITBs.
That's true.
But anyway.
And we're done.
How do I place these stickers on the car? What's
so the
idea
scanner is going to shoot out basically a reference image. It looks like a QR code, and it's about 16 inches by 16 inches. So imagine like if you're looking at this shock tower, imagine like a 16 by 16 square. There has to be at least 3 of these dots that I can see.
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it, and get stickered, I guess.
All right, we'll start putting some stickers on.
After applying what must have been 1,000 horsepower worth of stickers, it was finally time to paint the engine bay?
We'll be spray painting your engine bay. I promise we're not. This is a sublimating scanning spray. It'll flash off after like 12 hours. So we're just gonna paint this white with scanning spray, and then that'll make it easier for the 3D scanner. All right, stickers are on, spray is on. It's time to turn the lights off and get scanning.
Listen, if it makes 10 more horsepower and sounds good,
mission complete.
Mission complete.
Yeah.
I really need to make more power. It's about time it does.
It is so crazy, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me fanboying, but it is crazy, like, working with, ordering so many parts from a supplier over such a long period of time, and just like, you know, it's a normal thing in my life, I guess. And then now finally working with you guys, it just kind of feels surreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool. Obviously, the A50 project, just bringing in the community. I know we featured your build on our Instagram. If you guys don't know, Gallivantory on Instagram, he's swapping a E92 M3 into an M Coupe. And I mean, like the whole car, not just the engine.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true.
It's just cool, like our customers, like coming here and helping us with our projects.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's really cool.
So yeah, once I get this scanned in, we'll have this added onto my scan that I have already. And then I can just take what I was already gonna do and add a snorkel.
So what you're saying is there's just gonna be like crazy induction noise coming right through the grill?
Yeah, it'll be insane. I think that's it. That's all we need.
With our 3D scanning session done, we sent Alex on his way with our 850 engine bay in his backpack and hopes and dreams of seeing Alex and some ITBs sometime in the future.
So once I get back to Minnesota, I'll start working on a prototype and then I'll get that printed and shipped to you guys so you can test fit it. It'll probably be a set of prototypes because each runner will be an individual piece. And then once that checks out okay, maybe we'll go through another stage of testing with plastic prototypes. Then we'll do a metal printed prototype that'll be shipped straight to you guys and should be ready to go.
Sweet. All right, well, thanks so much for coming down.
Yeah, no problem. Should be sweet. Do you want the lav?
We'll get it next time. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, I'll see you guys. Yeah, no problem. These guys are really weird. These guys are super weird. Where the f am I gonna get a ride to the airport?
Don't worry, we gave Alex a ride to the airport and a cool limited edition 850 t-shirt and a job. To get your APT Project t-shirt, scan the QR code or head to fcpero.com and just search the 850 Project. Don't need a t-shirt? Pick up some parts for your next project. Now, back to the game.
And we're back in Minnesota, that is. Tonight, what I'm gonna be doing is probing in all of the planes and bolt hole geometry of the head, the ITBs, and some fuel rail stuff, as well as some throttle bracketry and accessory items. So this is just an extremely accurate way to make sure that we have the best outcome, and it's as accurate as possible to keep stuff like this throttle linkage from binding, and overall just to make the fit and finish really nice. This is a spare P2 head. It should be identical to the one that's on the car. So this should align really nicely to the scan we already did. So without further ado, let's get scanning. You may notice that on top of the Star Trek laser scanner, I'm using a small ruby tip to pick up holes and flat surfaces. This tool is traditionally known as a CMM or a point probe, and it's what most design engineers use to pick up hard geometry and flat surfaces. The CMM tip is much more accurate than scanning, so adding these hard points to the scan will help me know exactly where the head is in the car and exactly how tight I can make each bolt hole. There were two main design approaches that I worked on, and eventually one prevailed. The first was to mount the throttles, fuel rails, and linkages upside down with tons of hood clearance, facing the stacks downwards. This gave us the most room for the giant BMW OEM throttle position sensor on the driver's side and injector serviceability on the top. However, after days of staring at both options, I realized that the beauty of the brass throttle blades just had to be on display. So, the challenge of cramming the throttle position sensor, fuel supply, and airbox began. With all of the parts being printed out of PETG instead of PLA, it gave us a little bit more flex and wiggle room on the way into the car, just in case anything didn't fit perfectly. The first prototypes were printed without any O-ring grooves or complex threads, and after each update, more detail was added into the model and then subsequently test fit on the car. Here it is. After 2 weeks, this is the fully 3D printed mock-up of Jacob's new intake manifold for the Volvo. We're just going to use this to check for fitment of the hood, radiator hoses, are the bolts accessible, does it fit with everything on the car as it is, just to get a general idea of how things in the engine bay work out. So, with that said, I'm going to bring this to FedEx. I think they close in about 30 minutes, and hopefully Jacob knows which way this thing goes on.
Is that it right there? Sure enough, that's fragile, all right. Hey, oh, fragile box here. Oh! Does it fit? Can I fit? Hidalgo, Nate, Roselli, ITBs are here. They're here. ITBs. All right. So Alex said these are really fragile. Looks like it's fragile. Let's just hope it was treated like it's fragile. This is just a prototype, 3D printed out of plastic, which is why it's fragile. Oh. Wow, this blade really is dull. This blade's as dull as a fish. Alex gave us all these instructions on how to install this, and he left out the most important part. How to get it out of the box. Oh, I'm starting to see something here. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
There we go.
Oh my God. Wow. All right, we gotta be really careful. And yes, Alex, I know which way this goes on. All right. So, ITG for the ITBs. All right, so we got everything unboxed. Alex sent us a laundry list of instructions, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll go ahead and bolt this on the car. We'll have to be pretty careful that it's plastic, but hopefully everything fits and bolts up just how we want it to. 2 bolts in here where the 2 holes are slotted on the manifold. So theoretically, I should be able to slide those on the bolts and then grab a top bolt and just start it by hand. And then we'll carefully snug it down. And by snug, I don't even mean snug. I just mean, like, I don't know what I mean. Gentle. We have to be gentle.
It's snug.
I mean, it looks crazy. I mean, now I can finally pop my hood and show something. All right, so let's get the filter on. Yep, look at that. Good, cool. Okay, so the filter fits. No clearance issues here. All right, let's close the hood. let's go over Alex's list and make sure we're not forgetting anything, but it looks like everything fits fine. I wish we could fire the thing up right now. We got some work to do, but this is actually gonna work.
With the prototype test fit and a list of things for Alex to revise, the ball was back in his court to modify and design round 2 of the ITBs.
The Volvo throttle spring actuates the BMW throttles very nicely.
Soon after, with fresh prints, a ton more bubble wrap, and some important additions such as the Nuke Performance fuel rail and factory BMW S85 injectors, as well as some adjustments to the velocity stacks and filter plate, it was time to install the new version. But not before first being confused by the new filter plate.
I see what's happened here. This is the old, wait, I am confused. We have 2 plates. We'll swap a Rooney. This is fiddly, huh? Pressed in, that was scary. What was that noise? Oh, and now we have to clock them. Jeez. Oh, this is a mess, Mark. Please, I hope Alex doesn't see this. This is a disaster.
I think he might.
It's a disaster. What am I even doing? Oh, wait. So this has to go through both? That has to be there. This is gonna be hard. So that has to go, oh man, I don't know. This is crazy. So here's what I'm gonna do. I probably should have watched his little instructional video on how to assemble these.
You sent a video?
I think so. Yeah, it's the fuel rail. So I need to move some of this stuff out of the way. I mean, there's like no room to get it in with the fuel rail there. I have to move all that stuff down. See that? Well, that helps. Try it again. Yeah, that was it. That was it, Mark. Damn, that is close to the fan. As you can see, if I go ahead and turn that, it opens the throttles and works as it should. So it's gonna be a nice firm gas pedal, which I like actually, so.
Version 2 went in seamlessly, and I could feel that we were getting really close, with only a few things left to tweak, such as clearance between the fuel rail and the fan, as well as the radiator hose interfering with one of the velocity stacks. With those small issues addressed, Alex can finally send the ITBs into production. While Alex was busy finalizing the design of the ITBs, Nate and I addressed the 850's original fuel lines. The first step was to measure the length we needed for the feed and return, as well as calculate the angles we needed to mate up to the adjustable fuel pressure regulator and fuel rail. With those measurements, we ordered up all new motorsports grade stainless braided Teflon lines with AN fittings, and ran the new lines from the fuel filter up to the adjustable fuel pressure regulator and fuel rail, and finally returned back to the fuel tank. These lines will greatly improve the reliability and serviceability of the 850 in the future. With the new motorsports fuel lines installed, we needed one last thing before the final ITB installation, and that was some engine bay cleanup. For that, Pat reorganized, rerouted, and loomed some of the rat's nest of wires we had from our initial electrical work.
Finally, we can open the finished ITB pieces that Alex sent us. This is the real thing, the finished product.
Let's look at some metal. Let's do it.
All right, I'll start with the big box.
Oh.
Now, Alex mentioned that there was something special that he made. Wow.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. This is the air box. Look.
Here's the prototype part right here.
Prototype manifolds.
And then we have the real deal right there. Same with the manifolds. Obviously here's the prototype versus the real. It's really the same everything.
With the final design in our hands, we pieced together the 850's custom individual throttle body setup. From the manifold and gaskets to the fuel injectors and fuel rail, we got it bolted up to the engine for the very last time. Surrounded by a crowd of curious and impatient coworkers, we got the 850 ready to fire up for the first time.
Listen, everybody just needs to relax, okay?
Start at the... Oh. We've all waited like 9 years for this. You're hesitating.
What do you mean? Wait, okay. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could fire it up. Holy
Let's freaking go.
Dude, it runs. It's got a good throttle response.
Let's freaking go.
It runs. It actually runs. Oh, man. I'm excited. It's just, it's stressful. And the fuel fumes are probably getting to me. I don't know. But it works.
After replacing the faulty fuel pressure regulator, filling the engine with coolant, installing the velocity stacks, and buttoning up the engine bay, Pat and I went for a quick ride around the block to make sure it was ready for the dyno.
It feels pretty good. It feels pretty good, Pat.
We're tuning a Volvo today, which is an awesome, reliable, safe car. It's safe, we have to remind you. With an awesome engine setup with ITBs, I think it's going to be the most kick-ass sound we're going to hear for sure. I think it's a pretty good setup. We'll see how far we can go with it, and hopefully it makes way more horsepower than the initial setup, which didn't have ITBs. I'm expecting maybe 25 more with way more torque. Hopefully the cam is going to be the right configuration for what we have for the ITBs. I think we're going to run out of air before we run out of anything else.
With the 850 strapped down and Kareem behind the laptop, we began the slow process of dialing in the fuel, ignition, and VVT maps. A lot of adjustments needed to be made for the ITBs, especially when tuning Alpha N. Alpha N solely relies on throttle position and RPM, rather than a map sensor or mass airflow meter measuring airflow.
You know what? Let's try with ignition right away. So wide open throttle, I'm going to 22. Let's try 25.
With the ITBs pulling in much more air, we needed to add a lot more fuel to the original tune. And with more ignition timing, the 850 screamed to 175 wheel horsepower and 165 foot-pounds of torque. That's a 25% increase in power from the 140 wheel horsepower our original engine dynoed here years ago, and a ton more power and torque under the curve.
You just beat it by 10 wheels. Last 10 wheels. Really?
So we adjusted the fuel table, we adjusted the timing table and the VVT table. We got a lot of power under the curve, we got a lot of torque. It's actually very comfortable. The ITBs are so efficient that between 70% and 100% we have the same result for power and torque. So the ITBs are actually a little bit too big for the cabins we have or what the engine can breathe. So it leaves room for evolution. We're gonna do a final pull now and call it a day, guys. Thank you very much.
The stressful time is over. Krim fine-tuned this thing. The power curve is super smooth. We made 175 at the wheels, which is probably over 200 of the engine, which I'm pretty happy with. It's basically making like close to what a stock turbo engine would make, but NA. It's time to throw the livery on this thing, the bumper, and get this thing looking proper. All right. Oh, what do we got here? All right. This is really exciting. It's a little banged up from the trip from all the way from the UK, but what is this? Let's open it up and find out. It's got all of its safety. It's got all of its power. I think it's about time we make it look proper, right? Let's just say we're staying true to the BTCC origins of this car. Hopefully no one gets any flat tires from these nails. I'll make sure to pick all of them up. We're making a mess. Oh man, Duncan, what? How do I get this thing out? Volvo Composites from the UK somehow inherited the mold to the 850 BTCC front splitter. And this is that. Once again, the Volvo community is awesome. I had a bunch of people tag me in Volvo Composites post on Instagram. So telling me that I need to get this bumper. So I reached out to Duncan at Volvo Composites. He whipped this up for me really quickly. Now, we're putting it on a wagon. I know it's not correct, but it's still very cool. And like I said, we're not building a replica, we're building a tribute car. And what's more tribute than a BTCC splitter? And I cannot wait to see what this looks like on the car. So this is just one of the final pieces to the puzzle to make the 850 look exactly the way we want it.
With the 850 in tow, our infamous Yippee Cayenne brings us to our first stop at Mako of Fishkill, New York. Now you might be thinking, really? Mako? But trust me, this isn't your ordinary Mako. Let's just say this isn't the only race car getting worked on here. In fact, all the bodywork on our very own Mercedes 190e Golden Era project was done by the very talented people at this body shop.
We just explained to them everything we wanted to do, have some reference photos here for them to use. It's gonna look way better than it needs to, especially considering we're gonna be wrapping it. But we're just gonna sit back and let them do their thing, and in the next couple of days, this thing's gonna look awesome.
The first step was to remove the 850's original front bumper. With the hundreds of thousands of miles of stone chips and road debris this bumper experienced in its life, we finally put it to rest. From there, it was the laboring process of measuring and cutting little by little until the BTCC front splitter comfortably lined up with the 850 bumper.
It's incredible how it just, something as simple as that, just completely transformed the look of the car. So George was saying maybe bring up the sides a little bit. He's still, really what he's trying to do is trim the least amount of the bumper, of the original bumper as he can. just to keep the most material there. But you know, you just do a little bit of time.
With the trimming of the bumper complete, the next step was to prep the surfaces for fiberglass work and eventually paint. We weren't much help standing around watching, so it was time for us to leave and let George and his team tackle the rest. We hope you've enjoyed Season 2 of the 850 project. If you aren't already, be sure to subscribe. We have a ton more builds coming, and we post new content all the time. And as always, head to fcpeuro.com for all your Euro car parts needs. Like movie magic, we were back again to see the finished product.
Holy. Oh my gosh. No way. Wow. That is absolutely insane. Well, I can't wait to see it on the car. So if you look at the bumper here, you can see how smooth and seamless they molded this part to the original bumper. If you take a look on the inside, so you can see it's even riveted and they just smoothed everything out with the fiberglass. You know, if you look at it before, even all this didn't quite match up exactly to the original bumper. So they even like modify these holes and cutouts to be perfectly even. Like,
after admiring George's work, it was finally time to throw the bumper on the car, drop it on the ground, and see how it looked.
George, thank you so much. Yeah, looks awesome. Bumper's on. We're gonna get back on the trailer, bring it back to work, and get this thing wrapped. Let's go.
With the 850 loaded up, we headed back to headquarters for the next step of putting lipstick on our pig. With the car back at our shop, we took care of a few imperfections the old 850 earned over the years. After some quick PDR work, it was finally time to lay down its new skin. When it came to designing the livery, we worked with 8380 Labs, taking our favorite aspects of all the Volvo touring car liveries of the past, combining them, and giving them a modern FCP Euro twist. With that, Rabid Wraps worked their magic in bringing this car to life. And by life, I mean back to the 90s.
I liked the green. Holy shit, that's pretty freaking cool. This isn't my car. You guys swapped it, right?
Yeah.
I think now it looks as good as it sounds. Let's put some wheels on it and get it on the ground.
With our imagination coming to fruition, at the end, we couldn't help but feel the car was a representation of what it would look like had FCP Euro raced a BTCC 850 in the 90s. But it wasn't for us to decide, so we headed to our Swede Speed Volvo Sunday motoring meet where we revealed the freshly wrapped car for the very first time.
We're pulling down the track at the FCP Euro Sunday motoring meet, unveiling the 850 project for the very first time. We've got some very European, very BTCC weather today, but that didn't stop quite a few people from showing up. So this is it. This is the big moment. Volvo Sunday motoring meet, the Volvo 850 project. We're here. We made it. And yeah, I mean, it's been years in the making, so this is a pretty special moment.
With the perfect Swedish weather and surrounded by hundreds of Volvo owners, the 850 felt right at home with the community that helped build it.
All right, we made it to a very rainy Lime Rock Park, but that didn't stop the Volvo community from showing up. It's super exciting showing everyone the car, but I'm really excited to put down our flyer tomorrow on the FCP Euro Proving Grounds. So let's head over there and see what this thing can do. Very loose. Feels good. Whew! There's more time in it. The biggest thing is not having to upshift. Literally second gear in this car. Realistically, for a race car, the gearing in this car is not ideal. It's got a really tall final drive. But second gear, I'm in second gear the entire time around this lap. I do not change gears at all. And I can really feel like there's way more torque coming out of the corners than there were before. Like if I'm too heavy on the throttle, like it just starts spinning up the tires. Whereas before, like I could almost just go full throttle and there wasn't enough torque to actually spin the tires for me to lose traction. So a lot of this is being a little more gentle with the throttle because it does feel like there's way more power in all of the rev range, especially in the mid-range. But yeah, I think we can get a 37 out of this thing for sure. Like especially around such a short course like this, like a second is insane. So we're chasing tenths here, but car feels amazing. It sounds unbelievable, especially going into the skid pad. It just buries the tachometer, like literally buries it. Man, if this is a percentage, just a tiny percentage of what it may have felt like in 1994 in British touring car, it must have been insane. But we're there. It's making all the right sounds. It feels way more powerful, like I said, to the point where like I have to be careful with the throttle. I used to be able to go flat through the left-hander after the skid pad. I used to just be flat through there. I am not flat through there. I learned that by going off into the dirt a couple times. I think the reason why is because I'm probably going faster because it's making more power. Man, you really can't, like, numbers on the dyno, you can't put that much weight on there because the car feels so different. Like, we may have gained, you know, 20 horsepower or so, but like, that doesn't sound like a lot, but on the track, it feels like a significant amount. The car feels totally different. Power band feels totally different. Being able to like stay planted, like that's huge. Now it's just my driving. It's all my driving, that's all it is. All right, I'm gonna do a couple more laps, see if I can get down to 37.
The 850 and I went back out aiming for a faster time, but lap after lap after lap, we ended up with nearly the exact same time. Consistent, yes, but not a whole lot faster. And then, it dawned on me. Building a car is not all about horsepower numbers and lap times. It's about having fun. And boy, was this thing fun. As much as this season really revolved around a scientific and performance-oriented approach, the truth is, not everything you do to a car can be quantified by numbers. Driving the 850, it's really easy to forget you're in a station wagon. This car truly went from feeling like a dull butter knife to a razor-sharp scalpel. Whether it was the tangible changes like the racing wheel in my hands, or the fact that I was no longer sliding around in a cushy front seat. And the sounds, oh my god, the sounds! Individual throttle bodies screaming into the skid pad at over 7,000 RPM, with as much sound coming from the front of the car as the rear. Or maybe it was the suspension setup and geometry changes, with the ability to sense the car rotate, and with the blip of the throttle, feeling the Quaife limited slip diff pull you out of the slide. And the brakes. Powerful enough to pull your eyes out of their sockets. The feeling of driving this car is more than any numbers can represent. As the day came to an end, I couldn't help but reflect back on where we began all those years ago. Back when the world stopped, we started this project. Not with the aim to build the fastest, or the most powerful, or the most realistic replica, but to build a tribute, a nod to those incredible BTCC estate cars we lusted after. Whether you were around to witness them in action, or born too late to see them, this was our aim to bring you just a bit of the sights, sounds, and smells of the legendary BTCC 850. But at the end of the day, it's not just about the car. It's about the friends we met, the things we learned, and the memories we made along the way. That's what this is all about. To everyone who had a hand in this project, whether it was a camera, a wrench, welder, scanner, or keyboard, and those of you watching, thank you for turning this dream into reality. So, you might be wondering, what's next for the 850 project? Who knows? Maybe you just might see it at a racetrack, Cars and Coffee, or a supermarket near you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.